What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. Sorry. Yeah, we're back. As you can see, brand new thumbnail, brand new titles. Bit different for the new year. We're going with. Hopefully you guys like it. But yeah, thank you for tuning in yesterday. Much appreciated, much love for that. I know, as you can tell by the title, disappointing game. I am officially, for the first time, pissed off with QPR this season. Pissed off. I might not look it, but I think yesterday kind of reaction did it all. You know, the stream. First thing I want to say is I apologize for the stream, how it ended yesterday. I don't know what happened. I had a bit of anger come out of me, slammed the desk, and the PC crashed. It did. So we ain't gonna be doing that again. Next time it'll probably be a keyboard smashed against the wall. But yeah. I apologize for that. I really do. Because it was really popping off yesterday, and obviously, as soon as it went off, QPR scored. And I can't remember who goal scored. Was it Mbenge? Did Mbenge score? Yeah, Mbenge scored. So yeah. But thank you for tuning in tonight. Who we got in the chat? We got QPR Ryan. What's good, mate? Fucking useless yesterday. Still not happy, as you can tell. Heidi B, how you doing, Nick? I'm good, man. Hopefully you. Hopefully. Your second day of the year is going great, you know, apart from me, you know, apart from work and shit like that. But, you know, on the QPR side, it's fucking bad, honestly. And I will swear, I'm sorry, but I will. It is horrendous right now. It's not great. As you can tell by the title, it's not acceptable. Unacceptable performances, and it's that simple. So, yeah. We'll get into the match reaction, well, final thoughts, whatever you want to say, in a second. Just try to get some more people into the chat if anyone's there. Also, I'm discussing with our fans regarding Paul Smith. We're going to cover that today, actually. We're going to cover that because I saw that this morning. I didn't see it last night. I only tuned in because I went bed, man. I'm not well. Literally not well. But I saw it this morning on Instagram and I was like, what's QPR posting? And someone's done something to Paul Smith online, and it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting, you know. And hopefully they do get caught out. Hopefully they do get banned. But in my opinion, a ban is not good enough, honestly. You know, something needs to be sorted about it because, listen, look. For starters, why are we pointing out players? For starters, yeah, cool. We're all angry and all of that. But there's no need to go too far and then criticize one player out of 11, you know? I'm not saying it's acceptable in the sense of on anyone, but it's still a bit, come on now, stop being childish. You know, you're a grown-up, if you are a grown-ass man or whatever, or a woman, or whoever you are, why even message? It makes no sense. Keep your thoughts to yourself, honestly. Well, I say that, but right now I'm giving my thoughts to you on this shit. So yeah, but yeah, it's disgusting what Paul Smith had to go with. So first things first, what I will say is this: Paul Smith, fingers crossed, man. Obviously, the perpetrator or whoever it was gets caught, and just kick their ass. I'm saying you, just go kick them. I'm joking. Don't do that. But yeah, Paul Smith, yeah. Hopefully you're okay. Hopefully your family's okay, and yeah, big shout outs to you, man. Listen, look. At the end of the day, you know, in football, we all know certain things happen. It goes over the top, but I would say this: stay tight, stay strong, brother, and yeah, just keep going because you're killing it this season, man. Honestly, you are killing it. You know, for a person, like I said yesterday, for the height you are, you're killing it, man. Honestly, you've already scored 3 goals this season, I believe. You know, you've started the season great, you know, and yeah, listen, look, the whole team has been a shambles for the last couple of weeks, but that's not your fault at the end of the day. That's down to the management and the coaching and everything like that. If their game plan is not working, it's a team effort. The team. If it's a loss, it's a team loss, not a one person loss. So yeah, but huge shout out to Paul Smith, man. Honestly, hopefully you're all good, and yeah, stay strong, man. Stay positive. I know hopefully it hasn't gotten to you, but yeah, we're here for you. Man. So yeah. We've got chat. Also, I'm disgusted with our family. Yeah, we said that. I'm still confused. With Nick says. I saw what was sent to him, and it's awful. Is it? There's a guy. I don't know if he watches or whatever, but there's a guy on Twitter, called Wagon Ghost or whatever, host or whatever. He tweeted 7 hours ago, just been banned from Loftus Road. So yeah, I don't know if he's trying to just take the piss or what. Or I did see there was the message. But yeah, I can't fully say, you know, I haven't really seen, I see some of it, but not all of it. So yeah. But fingers crossed, hopefully, hopefully like I said, the perpetrator gets caught. So yeah. But yeah, I saw what's sent to him. Does anyone know where I can find it, actually? Is it on Twitter or... Oh my god, what the hell am I looking at? Jesus Christ. I can't find it on Twitter whatsoever. To be honest, I don't even want to find it, man. I did see something post earlier, but I lost it. So yeah. Yeah, saw that. Also, he's just taking the piss as he's been heavily critical about Paul Smith here recently. Listen, the guy's critical about everything, man. Honestly, listen, like, he is a troll, the biggest troll ever, man. Honestly, the biggest troll ever. But yeah, anyway, listen, look, let's get into the final thoughts. Anyway, let's get into this because I don't want to. Be honest, I don't really want to go on about certain things constantly. Well, yesterday was a bit of a letdown. Well, more of a letdown is a bit of a... Do you know what? It was awful. It was a disappointment. It's a shameful. It can't happen again, for starters. You know, it will happen again, undoubtedly, once upon a time, you know, in the future. But yeah, that was a shambles, completely shambles yesterday. And not just yesterday, the last 3 games have been really awful. Pompey, West Brom, and Norwich. Listen, look, I can understand the Pompey game. It's away, okay, but the 2 games that I thought, considering what we're doing, Portsmouth away and Norwich at home, absolutely disgraceful. Honestly, the performance have not been great. You know, the last 3 weeks, we have not been performing to our best. You know, we're not attacking. The last 3 week games, we have not been attacking whatsoever. Our defensive issues are still there, which I'm getting really annoyed about, because at the end of the day, what the hell are we trying to do here? You know, are we playing? Are we attempting to play the offside trap so high? Because at the end of the day, like, seriously, even though Mbenge scored yesterday, he needs to go back to centre back. It's that simple. And another thing is this: 4-4-2. Get rid of it. It's not working. It's not worked for ages. You know? It's not worked. It's not worked. Sort it out, honestly. 4-4-2 is not working. Sort it out. Creativity is missing. Can't you see that? It's annoying. Ilias Share, what's going on with him? Frey, is he going? What? You know? It's bad. It's gone out the window. Our heads have gone out the window now. 2 up front is not working. I'm not saying they're shit, but it's not working. Change it up, honestly. Kone and Burrell, 2 great strikers, but they can only play 1 striker at a time. Or put Burrell on the right wing. It's that simple. You know, he plays right wing. That's his... In fact, that's his natural position, as right wing. Put him right wing. It's that simple. You know, Burrell right wing, Kone up front. Give Michi Frey a go. Look, if we're going to launch crosses into the box, why is Frey not on the pitch? End of story. It's that simple. You know, but coming on to defensive issues, it's ridiculous as well. We have apparently one of the best defensive coaches in Europe, or whatever it is, in Steve Bold, and we still can't even get a clean sheet. We can't defend. What are we doing? It's horrific. Honestly. You know, some games are good, some games are bad. Okay, but at the end of the day, you're not correcting the mistakes that are there. You know, you're keeping the same team there. You know, and listen, look, we could blame Nardi, we could blame whatever goalkeeper, but rotating a goalkeeper constantly is not gonna work. You know, rotation is key, but the problem is what you're doing right now is you're playing players out of position, in my opinion. It's that simple. It's that simple. Nick says I think only Poku, Hayden, and Nardi and Collie came out as positive, really. Ryan says, I really don't like playing with two strikers. Personally, don't think it works. Harvey says, yo, welcome to the chat, Harvey. Hopefully you're okay. Good to see you. Hopefully, you're not hacking accounts and that stuff. So yeah. Nick says, I think you have a point, DB, about the 4-4-2. My main criticism was playing the same system away instead of 4-5-1. Like I said, it's not working, man. If we are playing 4-4-2, it's not working. You know, we're not scoring goals and we're not defending properly and we're not creating chances. It's that simple. Okay, and Benge scored yesterday, but come on now, we should be... Look, the team that we have, right, and the manager we have, the tactics he can develop on that pitch, it's got to change, honestly. You know, we're talking about a Champions League manager here. A Champions League manager. What is going on with our heads, honestly? You know, we have a Champions League manager, or Europa League, or whatever you want to call them, in the Championship. Sort it out. Seriously, sort it out. It's getting ridiculous. And I hate to do this all the time. You know what? The thing is, look, I love QPR. I love QPR. But I've stayed quiet for quite a bit. I've stayed quiet. And I'm not saying sack him or whatever, because I know he's going to get us promoted. But the 3 games in a row, it's just taking the piss. Honestly, it just takes the piss. You know? It needs to be sorted, honestly. You know, I'm hoping you can see it after yesterday's game. Change it against Sheffield Wednesday for sure. You know, I'm not saying change the goalkeeper, but you need to put Mbenge at the back. You need to keep Dunn at the back with Mbenge. You need to put Norrington Davis or Sanfield left back. Right back, you need to sort that out ASAP, because that's not working whatsoever. Right back is not working. You know, midfield, do you know what? Madsen and Hayden, keep it. Please, just keep it. That duo there was incredible yesterday. Hayden was incredible. Honestly, Hayden kept getting that ball, winning that ball back, 100%. And you took him off. You took him off, and it changed the game. Hayden was incredible yesterday. Honestly, you know, bite my head off, but Hayden and Madsen yesterday, you know, offense to Raphael Varane. I love Raphael Varane, but that midfield needs to stay for now. That midfield needs to stay. Hayden needs to be on that pitch. You know, that performance yesterday was unbelievable. You know, we lost, but he was unbelievable. You know, listen, look, with Dembele and Paul Smith, I can't really say much because they weren't really involved in the game. Their heads weren't in it. Dembele just wasn't there. Paul Smith had a couple of chances, but like I said, when it comes to the point of a pitch like that, Paul Smith and Dembele can't perform like that. So yeah, but Burrell and Kone up front, look at the ratings, you know. Burrell hasn't scored in a couple of games. Kone hasn't scored in a couple of games. But Kone, the fact is, he should be scoring constantly each week with the price tag. But, you know, you're still keeping 2 up front. Play Kone by himself, Burrell on the right, and whoever it is on the left. It's that simple. And put a middleman in there to create. It's that simple. Keep with the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3. Even try Kieran Morgan in the middle. Try him in the attacking middle. Listen, Kieran Morgan, when he came on yesterday, it wasn't looking great. I'll be honest, man. He lost the ball quite a bit, you know. But I think right now he needs to play attacking. Honestly, he needs to play attacking. You know, depending on what we do. So, yeah. But yesterday was a complete horrendous performance. Yet again, against a side that is at the bottom of the league, but obviously clearly is in form because of the change of their manager. So, yeah. You know, we could sit here and say it's the same as Southampton, you know. But for me, I would say it's, you know, that yesterday was a dominant performance from Norwich, you know. You know, we might have had more possession, but at the end of the day, Norwich first half was a blitz. That was it. You know, second half, okay, we woke up a little bit, but it was still a shambles at the end of the day. So, yeah. Cuba Ryan says we need a 10 in there to add that extra creativity option. Let's be fair, Coney and Burrell aren't exactly playmakers. You know what? The only reason why I agree with that is because the only goals that they've scored and assisted with each other is either passes into the box or it's either been a head-on or a flick-on, you know? And to me, that's not creative play. That's just good thinking and smart play from a striker, which is what they should be doing anyway. It's just a point about JS saying that the team was too panicky and playing too many long balls. And this is what I said. Didn't I say this yesterday? I said this yesterday, didn't I? I said it yesterday. Long balls. We're playing too many long balls. We're hoofing the ball up there again. We're playing Marty Fuentes ball. We're playing shitty Marty. And you know what? The funniest thing is, right? You know, when we was interested in that Forrest guy, you know, the ex-Norwich manager. What's his name? Let me see if I can find his name. Give me 1 second. Forup. So where this Forup guy I was interested in, right? He stated the fact is this, right? If he became QPR, well, not became QPR manager, but he said that he doesn't play long balls, you know? He doesn't see the point of a 50-50. He wants a 99-1%, you know, playing the ball from the back and passing it, which is nice. But at the end of the day, yesterday's game was just hoofing that ball. Steve Cook hoofing the ball, Jimmy Dunn hoofing the ball down the wing, you know, Davis not getting to the ball, you know, and Benge struggling to even stay on his feet yesterday, you know. Sort out the pitch as well, man. Just to give you a heads up, pitch was nasty yesterday. Don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, sort that out, please. Ryan says, for some reason, our winger hate taking on players. Sato seems scared to go forward. Dembele keeps going back, and Smith barely gets the ball. You know, Sato, to me, plays better in the middle this season. You know, he seems to be a middleman. It's that simple. Dembele, I can't really say much on that. So, yeah. Yeah. Did you tag me in something, Ryan? On Twitter, did you tag me in something? I can't remember. I just see your notification on Twitter. You know, I only trust you. Thoughts on this? Did you tag me in something? I haven't got it. Wherever you've sent me, I haven't got it. Oh, up the arse. Oh, what? You sent me it then, yeah? Oh, I'll have a look at it in a bit. JS saying that there has to be blame and responsibility from the players because let's face it, we have top players and a good squad. Listen, look, you know, in football, you know, we always point fingers at managers, at players, at, you know, owners, all of this and that, but a coach and a manager, whatever you want to call him, a coach or a manager, whatever, you know, they give you what you need to do on that pitch. But if you don't perform and do it, there's something wrong. There's completely something wrong. Whether that's lack of communication or that the game plan is that they don't understand, you know? And that's the horrible thing about this game, you know? Because it causes either managers to have an issue with players or managers to get sacked, you know? And for me, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and blame Julian Stefan all the time after a poor result. Because at the end of the day, it's 11 players on the pitch that are playing. You know, they're the ones that have to do what Julian says. And if, you know, Julian, don't get me wrong, does make some stupid mistakes sometimes with subs. And I'll say that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to go out and put a tactic and a team, you know, don't get me wrong. Okay, listen, look, there's sometimes that I think, you know what, the tactics and all of the game plan sometimes can be really stupid, like the 4-4-2 and all of that. But when it comes down to playing style, listen, we've shown it this season that we are a dominant team in the Championship. It's that simple. You know, the first game of the season, we saw it. And that's why the positivity was there at the start of the season against Preston. You know, we may have drawn that game from a mistake yet again. But the problem is that first half was the most incredible first half we've had in years. You know, I've not seen us be attacking that much for ages. So, yeah. But in this game right now, obviously, let's more focus on the fact being that you listen up. We lost 2-1. You know, goals from I believe it was Josh Sargent. In the first, was it the second half? The start of the second half where it was appalling defending from Davis. And obviously all the other defenders like Cook and all of that couldn't watch their man. It was a good whip in to see Josh Sargent anyway, and that's where it made it 1-0. Obviously I don't see Nardi getting to that, and you know, it's just a lack of defending on the wings yet again. And then obviously in the 90th minute, their super sub Makama came on and scored. He did, doing an incredible job with the goal and scoring. And then obviously before the stream, obviously just after the stream shut off, unfortunately, Amadou Mbenge scored a goal. I did miss it. It looked like a cracking strike though, I'm not going to lie, on Twitter. So yeah, that made it 2-1. And obviously the subs, you know, in my opinion, Kogi Sato didn't really do much. Poku didn't really do much. Collie was okayish, I guess. Kieran Morgan was... I don't know why we took off Hayden, in my opinion. You know, that's one thing. Ryan says, yeah, it's what was said to Smith. All right, thank you. I'm not blaming Jess. I'm saying regardless of formation and tactics, the players have to be better because of the talent is there. 100%. You know, I'm not saying you're blaming him. I'll pull out that, Nick. I'm not saying you're blaming him, you know, for starters. But I agree that the fact being is this, you know, we have, you know, I agree with Julian when he says we have the players and we have, you know, the tactics are there. You know, we have the ability to finish in the top 10, top 6, whatever it is. You know, we have one of the strongest sides in the championship, I think. You know, so yeah. AB says, a lot of work still needed on this squad. Need to cut ties with a lot of players in the summer, such as Phil, Jake Loxall, Cook, Nardi, etc. And need to bring in proper championship players to help us move forward. Yeah, I agree with some of that. AB, 100%, because at the end of the day, you know, Cook, Jake Loxall, Field, you know, they're coming to an end, I would say. But Field obviously is not getting game time. Clark Salter is getting injury prone, and Cook, well, he's just not performing like he did last season from us. So yeah, Nardi wise, you know, I like Nardi, but I think, do you know what? I'm not even gonna blame all the keepers, because I see it this way, right? You know, a defense is only as good as his... A goalkeeper is only good as defense, you know, and I keep saying that. But the thing is this. We're the worst team this season for switching keepers, honestly. We've switched the keepers so many times just because we think it's a keeper problem. I don't get it. It's weird. You know, either play Haymar or Nardi. It's that simple. You know, Joe Walsh is not on the scene now. So I don't know what's happened to Joe Walsh. But that needs to be rectified. So yeah. Terrible says 6 close to relegation zone. Okay, fair enough. Well, you know, I'm not a negative person, so I'm not gonna look at that. I'm not focused on that. I'm just focused game by game. QBR says it's a win or nothing on Sunday. If we draw or lose, I'd seriously consider JS staying. Do I sound harsh or unreasonable? I think right now it's too early stages for that. Way too early. I still believe JS is the one for us to get us promoted. But I feel like it's more of the stubbornness of him that's annoying, because obviously he's sticking to that 4-4-2 type of thing, you know. I honestly think he should stay. You know, whatever happens, as long as he keeps us in the top 10, I'm happy with that. You know, he deserves to stay. But if it's the same again as last season, where we're bottom of the pile yet again, you know, it's an annoying scenario for us. Even if we lose to Sheffield Wednesday, I don't think we'll lose to Sheffield Wednesday, personally. I don't think we'll lose to Sheffield Wednesday. But if it does happen, then maybe we should... you know, we will be definitely annoyed for sure. And, you know, and that's when it will become, you know, the fans will get on his back, you know, at the end of the day. I'm only going to go to a certain length of being at someone's back, you know, until I don't see anything anymore. You know, like I said, we've had 2 losses. What is it? 2 losses? Let me check. 2 losses and a draw and a win, and well, 3 losses, a win and a draw in the last 5. So yeah. Jake Guitars, hi DB, how are you, Jake Guitars? Hopefully you're good. Hopefully you're having a great day and a good new year. Nick says, I bet Christian Nuri thought he had done all the necessary work, but maybe all need to start again with not only getting additions but players moving on. Listen, look, I know a lot of people hated Christian Nuri at the end of last season because of the Marty Fuentes situation, but listen, in this game, you know, it's hard to be an owner and, you know, a director or whatever you want to call it. You know, Christian Nuri has a hard job and he's good at his job. He's young and he has experience and he understands what he's doing. But I would personally say, you know, in my opinion, he done a great job in the summer. He did what he did. You know, you got to remember, we can only work with a budget. We can only work with financial fair play. Now, you know, in my defense, well, in his defense, I should say, he done a great job in bringing Harvey Vale in, Richard Kone. You know, we've spent some, you know, and Sato. You know, he's listened to the fans to bring in certain players. You know, and he's done a great job. In doing that, you know, and whatever happens in January, you know, he said we'll only go for players if we need it, for sure, you know, and in my opinion, I can only see loans happening. But, you know, I personally, obviously, everyone wants to see Ronnie Edwards in and that and some others, but, you know, the price tag on Ronnie right now is making a bit of sense where, well, he's gonna have to clear the wage bill a little bit to bring Ronnie in, I reckon. You know, that's why Michi probably wasn't on the bench on yesterday. He probably Ilias Share is the biggest worry because I thought he was back fit in training and he hasn't been playing for a couple of weeks. So that's a scary one. So yeah. Oh, for God's sake, Kieran, you're getting a haircut, mate. Nope, I want to keep it because I want hair. AB says, we just don't have the players to do the 4-4-2. It's not even the players to do the 4-4-2. It's the fact being it doesn't work. It's that simple. You know, if you have... Listen, if Burrell and Kone, right, are 2 good strikers, right, and they're not scoring goals together properly, like, I mean, a goal a game each and stuff like that, there's no point of having 2 strikers. It's a waste of time, honestly. Unless you're telling me he's not playing 4-4-2 and he's playing like a 4-2-3-1 or whatever, then, oh, okay, you know, then putting Burrell centre forward. But Conan is not centre forward, he plays... Conan needs to play up front, it's that simple. So, yeah. But I think it's majority of the fact being, like I said, the defense needs to be sorted out, the creativity needs to be sorted out, you know, and a striker needs to be dropped, you know, and it's that simple. There needs to be competition. If Kone and Burrell are both playing, you know, the only competition is Burrell, is Michi Frey. So yeah. But yeah, the 4-4-2 doesn't work in my opinion. I don't see it working. You know, I think, you know, we have players that work the 4-4-2, but I just don't think you know, it's his tactic that it's not going to work. So yeah. Nick says, by the way, I've always been impressed with Christian Nuri since he took over. Yeah, I agree. You know, I agree with you, Nick. You know, he's brilliant, man. Honestly, I think he, you know, you know, for me, the best things that I've seen come out of QPR is Amit Bayati and Christian Nuri, and possibly I think it's harsh to say, but I think there's one person that still needs to leave that board, and I think his you know, his name comes up quite a bit. It's been quiet recently, but last season everyone wanted him out, and they made him chairman. So I'm not gonna say his name, but yeah, you probably know who it is. So yeah, Jake Todd says, I was at the West 12 for the Norwich game. I've never heard such a quiet QPR side in terms of fans. I don't think that would have helped, but fair play for Norwich fans. They were making noise every minute. I did not hear anything, to be honest. Usually you do hear the odd cheering and stuff like that, but I didn't hear nothing on that TV yesterday. So yeah, I'm not sure if you 100% saying that, then I'm a bit shocked, to be honest, that that's happened. So yeah, that tells you probably it's either the cold, or that someone has or someone, you know, someone's doing a bad job. So yeah, Cooper are in much better shape with the addition of Nuri. I agree. AB says I would work, just not being done. It would work, just not being done properly, and the wide players don't do much or create any opportunities for the strikers. If they did, it would work consistently. That part, but the thing is, mate, like the thing is, right, when I'm watching this game, right, the wingers are wingers, right? They're not cutting in whatsoever. They're staying out wide, being wingers, and just crossing the ball in, you know. And the reason why I said the 4-4-2 is not working, it's the fact being that it could work, yeah, okay, but you need to probably have Michi Frey in that box with Burrell to make it work. But Kone, you know, Kone, I don't know what to say on it. At the end of the day, mate, I think the 4-4-2 is just not for us, man. Honestly, it's just not for us. QBR says, I do believe we are only 2 to 3 players away from a playoff side, which is brilliant, of course. Listen, right back is needed, and Benge needs to go centre back. A creative player is, you know, is probably still needed, and I would say a centre back. You know, that's pretty much it. You know, striker wise, we're fine. That's simple. So yeah. Nick says we can't forget about our owners sticking with us too, considering the annual losses we're making. Well, there's talks. Well, there is talks of them selling up, but they only want to sell up to a consortium that's going to do the right thing for QPR. They listen. Look, it's like what Kevin Gallen said at the start of the season on West London Sport. He said, "What, you know, it's fair to say that the ownerships are it's fair to say and agreeable for owners to be annoyed and distraught, basically because of they're putting in 20 million a season into a club and they're making no profit from it whatsoever. So you got to big up the owners for that. But at the end of the day, if there's no progression, you know, they're gonna want to sell up at the end of the day. You know, you're losing 20 million at the end of the day, and that's that simple, or whatever it is. So yeah, in my opinion, I big up. Listen, look, I don't like, if it was Tony Fernandez, I'm like, yeah, cool. You know what, you deserve it. But these owners here, the Rubens, the Metals, and all of them lot, they're doing a crazy job. You know, they do a good job for us. So yeah, I fully respect the owners, what they do, man, honestly, because I like Amit Bayati, I really do. I wish he was chairman still, but I can understand why he ain't, because, you know, it was a stressful thing for him. So yeah, I can understand that. Jake Qatar says, I think our wingers need to get some more balls in and have some more shots, and Menge had one shot the whole game and it was a goal. The problem is Mbenge, right? I still, obviously, listen, look, I say this all the time. You know, he is good on the ball. He dribbles quite a bit when he's in the centre back. But when he's on the wing, he gets lost, he does. He just doesn't seem comfortable on the wing whatsoever. So yeah, I'd rather say, I think his best performances come from the centre back. With Jimmy Dunn, I reckon he'll do a cracking job. So yeah. But yeah, thinking our wingers need to get some more balls. We've been putting the balls into the box and nothing's happening. But because that's the problem. We haven't got no height in there to get anyone on the ball. You know, unless you're going to push Jimmy Dunn up there yet again, like last season, then cool. So yeah. Nick says, DB, do you think that he'll change the formation for Wednesday's game? I'm going to sit here and say no. I don't think he will, you know. I think it's gonna, you know, it's gonna take a while for him to understand. If he does change it, I'll be very surprised. But I think he's trying to stick to something because he thinks it can work. But I think right now, I think he needs to go back to the 4-2-3-1 and then push on from there. So yeah. But right now, I honestly believe, you know, nothing crazy is gonna happen on Wednesday, against Wednesday, on Sunday. You know, we got a lot of work to do you know, to actually get into this and get back on form. So yeah. AB says hopefully January summer we get some clinical wingers who score goals. We have really missed that, and the fullbacks that can create and create as R&D and Menge are not great at that. They're fullbacks. That's, well, I wouldn't say fullback. Well, yeah, fullbacks. I would say fullbacks. They're pretty much played as fullbacks, so it's not great. AB. We just lack so much in wide areas. I think there's more than wide areas that we lack. You know, creativity, like you said, in the middle as well. You know, if we only have Madsen and Varane or Madsen and Hayden, they're not exactly creative players. You know, because they're not pushing up to help out. You know. So it's that simple. QPR Ryan says it could just be that we lack creativity. Like I said, I've been saying this since Swansea game. You know, when we watched Eddie Share come on, it changed the game. The creativity was there, and I don't think he's a playmaker, but he gets involved in pushing that team into areas that we can score goals. It's that simple. You know, I'm not saying Chair is brilliant at being a playmaker, but he does the job in helping with the goals. You know, Kieran Morgan, same thing. When he's on the pitch, it does happen. You know, and I think Sato needs to be played in the middle, like I keep saying. I think he's more of a creative threat than anyone in that team. You know, because for what I've seen on that pitch, he likes to get past. He can get past plays in the middle. You know, it's crazy, man. Honestly, really crazy for a small guy to be like that. It's impressive as well. So yeah, but yeah, with this game here, as you can see, we've gone through pretty much everything. I'm not, listen, like, it was a disappointing performance. You know, let's take this. We'll take the loss. We will. But we definitely need to fix up for Sunday against Sheffield Wednesday at home, because if something bad comes out of that, the fans are definitely going to be on his back, because we got that FA Cup game a week after. So yeah, we need a win. Wednesday is on Sunday. Wednesday is a must win. You know, we need to get back on form. And he needs to understand how we're going to do that, or you know what's going to happen. You know, so yeah, 2-1 it was on yesterday, on Thursday. Like I said, we've gone through the goal scorers. The obviously the ratings are there, as you can see, of the game. Let me just get them up on my computer. So the ratings there. So Nardi got a 6.3, Davis a 5.7, Cook a 6.9, Dunn a 6.3, and Bengay an 8. Apparently got man of the match on Bengay. Paul Smith 6.4, Hayden a 6.9, Madsen, yeah, again as a green area 7.0, Dembele 6.0, Kone 6.7, Burrell 6.3. So yeah, it's one of them things where I think, you know, we're out of form at the moment. We need to fix it, and we need to crack on and do something in the window as well. So yeah. Personally, I think we have creative players. It's just JS getting it right as he sees it. Nick, we have creative players, and I agree. I'm not saying we should go and dip into the window for creative players. I think we have creative, but we're not playing those creative players. You know, like I said, the creative players are not playing. You know, Madsen is meant to be a creator, but he can't create shit if he's being dropped back to help defense all the time. You know. Assume no transfer news at the moment. Right, so there is no transfer news, but I will tell you this: the thing that I said yesterday about there was an interest in a player, or apparently we was gonna buy a player, 6 million or whatever it was. It was actually the guy from Sunderland, Romain Mundle. So the winger Mundle, who is a quality young winger, but way too much money, and I don't think it's ever gonna happen. So yeah, they were saying we was going to sign him, but apparently a deal was struck, but I don't believe it one bit. It's false rumours, false claims, so yeah. That's the only thing that's come out at the moment. I haven't seen anything. I have even tried asking someone if they can get me some information inside, but nothing yet, no reply. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully something happens soon, and we can go from there. Jake Todd says Hammer on Nardi, not Walsh. I'm always going to stick with Nardi. I will always stick with Nardi because I think he's a very interesting keeper, a much keeper that can be reflexes. You know, Hamer did prove it. Don't get me wrong. Hamer has got reflexes, but there's just something about Nardi that I prefer. So yeah, Mundle would be class. Cuba Ryan says Mundle is brilliant. I like Mundle. He's a typical attacking winger that can score goals. You know, but in the Premier League, obviously, because of it's the Premier League, he's young, and you know, they brought in players to help them. Mundle hasn't really had the game time like Patterson or anyone like that. So, you know, they'll probably go out on loan, but don't know who to. You know, as far as I'm aware, it's not QPR. So yeah. But yeah, no transfer news whatsoever. So yeah, but that's gonna be it for tonight for final thoughts. Well, we've gone on for about 41 minutes yet again. Jesus Christ, we're killing it at the moment with the chatting. We are. Wow. Yeah. Excuse me anyway. I've got a bit of a cold coming on, so yeah. I do apologize if I sound bunged up and everything like that. But yeah. But we end it there. For tonight, we will. Like I said, there's no transfer news to talk about. But yeah, Queen's Park Rangers took a hefty loss against Norwich City yesterday, 2-1 at home. And fingers crossed, Sunday can be a change of what comes to the new year. So yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Ryan, Guitar, Nick, who else we've had? AB, who we got? I know Harvey's there as well, can't forget him. Kieran, Tell, I think that's it. If I've missed someone, I do apologize. So yeah. But thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a great stream yet again. It's been good chatting with you lot. And we will catch you guys tomorrow for match preview. I don't know whether it's going to be live yet or not. It might be just a video, just because obviously I don't know how I feel. But we'll definitely be live on Sunday for the game at 12 o'clock against Sheffield Wednesday. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll catch you next time. Peace, love, positivity. Have a good evening. Enjoy your weekend. And yeah, we'll go again against Sheffield Wednesday on Sunday.